Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for creatives. Do you ever have one of those photography trips where you kick things off by just having a really challenging and overall bad day of photography? One of those ones that leaves you with pretty low motivation levels by the end of the day. Well, that's exactly what happened to me on a recent trip to Dartmoor National Park here in the southwest of England. Even in a place like this, with an incredible landscape and seemingly endless subject matter, sometimes things just don't click. And the reason I wanted to include this part in this video is just to share the realities, but also just as a reminder to myself and hopefully some of you that you can have a really bad day of photography where motivation levels are incredibly low, and then you can follow that up with one that's the complete opposite. And so with that out of the way, we start this video, day 2 in Dartmoor National Park. Morning everyone. This is my second day of the trip. First day was a little bit of a bust, but heading out this morning to this old quarry that looks really cool. About 20 minutes I think before the sun comes up. All sorts of mist and fog. It's pretty cool atmosphere, but yeah, gonna spend the day shooting. Got a bunch of things I want to chat about. Hope we can make some images, but right now we're gonna just try and get out here as quick as possible and see what we can do in the first hour of light here. Okay, so this is really cool. This is the old quarry site. Got a full moon up there. Conditions, that mist is leaving very quick, so gonna try and set up and get working here ASAP. So I'm shooting this black and white just because this is what the kind of portfolio I'm doing is for the most part, but this would be a cool color shot as well. I'm gonna go a bit wider here. Actually, that is nice. But black and white is still, I think, what I'm after. I actually like this composition. A little bit wider, have that piece, there's one little like extra piece of the building over there. So let's do this. So whenever I'm on these trips focusing on a specific project, if I can walk away with one image that I'm really happy with to add to that portfolio, I consider that a success. And this is definitely that image. It's quieter for sure, it's pretty simple, but I just love these elements throughout, the mist, the silhouette of the building, and then the moon in the sky to balance it all out. So very, very happy with this one. So I think I actually like this one better than the first. It's a lot wider, obviously, but looking back this way, there's some kind of clouds and some of the fog rolling through, and then this grass in the foreground, which has some nice, just subtle movement with the wind. So shooting with about a 3-second shutter speed just to give like a little bit of motion to that. But I quite like it. It's really nice too, that wall of that building fits just perfect within this hill. So I shot a number of different versions of this image just as the light changed and was undecided actually how much I like it. I decided to put some of them in here to share with you, but you know, oftentimes it takes just like a couple weeks or even a month of detaching from an image, coming back to it to figure out if it fits and if I really even enjoy it that much. So for now, this one will get filed away. Okay, so that was a successful morning, I think. I mean, haven't seen the images, but I feel pretty good about that, and definitely a nice change from yesterday, for sure. But in this video, I want to share a couple things as well, some thoughts. Just been reflecting on my time here in England, you know, coming up on 2 years of making work here, and I just want to share a few things that I've been thinking about that I've kind of learned or relearned.
some important things. But going to hopefully make some more images today, but I think right now what we're gonna go do is get a coffee, get some breakfast. Okay, just pulled the car over, was kind of just scouting as I wait for the light to get a little nicer, and came across this really cool old like quarry area at the side of the road. It actually quite reminds me of the American West, which is neat. So I'm gonna shoot here just for a little bit, play around. So even in that kind of harsh midday light, this is still pretty nice. You got this like gravel pile, then these like kind of buildings that go in a line. It kind of balances the composition out nice. Everything's backlit, so black and white is actually looking pretty good, just because they're kind of silhouetting. This gravel pile is probably my favorite part of this.
So a lot of the time during these photography road trips, it's these like random moments in the middle of the day where maybe the light isn't perfect, but you just go and you play around and you experiment, that end up being my favorite. Not necessarily from like an image standpoint, but just from like a curiosity and experimentation, just having fun with the process. And that's really what it's all about.
Very cool. Happy with that. Good little stop.
But now I just need to take a quick break to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which as you all know is Squarespace. I've been using them for a while now, and what I love most as a photographer is just the wide range of clean, professional templates and just how easy it is to use. So, for example, if you're building an image gallery, you can simply drag and drop photos to rearrange them, which is just a really great way to sequence and update portfolios as you create them. So check out squarespace.com today for a free trial and to test it out. And when you're ready to launch, you can use the code squarespace.com/Kyle McDougall to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Okay, let's jump back into the video.
Okay, back out at it. Had about 4 coffees, fully fueled, but out at my evening location. This is a church which is on a tour. I'm not much of like a church castle person for photographs, but this is a really cool landscape, and there's also a few elements up here that I think could be cool. So figure I'll switch it up, see what this place is like. Oh, I was really hoping, in all the pictures I saw when I was researching this place, they used to have a cross that was like potentially over there, and the scene looked really cool just where it overlooked this entire valley, but it's not up. And there was one lying on its side in there, and I think that's probably it. So yeah, bit of a bummer. That's kind of the image I had in mind.
I ended up making another image, but wasn't really what I was after when I headed up here. Okay, so gonna make a decision here if I'm gonna stick around or if I'm gonna leave. But I quickly, as I have some shelter from the winter, I wanna talk about those lessons that I kind of mentioned at the start of this video, the things I've kind of learned or relearned, you know, creating work here in England for 2 years now. If you don't watch this channel, I moved here from Canada 2 years ago. And these are some things that just stick out to me as I, you know, reflect back on that first bit of time making images here. And the first one, and this is kind of one of the most important, is just, you know, any new project, finding your direction and finding your voice with something takes time. And sometimes it takes a while. And I know for me, when I first got here, I was so like, I had this like anxiety to like find a project and find a direction. And whenever I'd go out and shoot, as soon as I made like one image I was happy with, I'd be like, this is the project, you know, industry in Wales, or something around the coast, or something in Snowdonia. And it's funny because now I feel like pretty clear on my direction, but all of these images I was making, a bunch of them are kind of coming together under this theme that's a little more loose and is starting to make a lot of sense. But it took about, you know, like a year and a half of shooting to get to that point. And the first, you know, 6 months or a year were purely, I would say like experimentation, not making much work that is going to really, you know, that I'm going to do anything with. So,
you got to give yourself time, you know, don't try and like fabricate these ideas and jump into something right away, you know, follow a direction, but be okay with like pivoting and switching it up as you go. You got to visit places, you got to create work, you got to see what that says to you, and you got to like link these things together and see where it all goes. And the second one is don't be afraid to like switch things up and take on a new approach. And for me, obviously with my American West stuff before, I was shooting color. And when I came over here for like the first 6 months, I really was trying to like apply that same way of working to the stuff I was making here. And it just wasn't working, you know, different landscape, different palette, you know, the processing wasn't working, just challenging shooting color, it wasn't speaking to me. And now you know, I'm making most of this work in black and white, or all this work. But it was such a departure from what I've done in the past, because I've always been a color shooter, that it took me a while to commit to it. I was just worried that it wasn't gonna, you know, be consistent with my previous work. But I think what's important to know is like, your creative voice will always kind of carry through to different projects, even if your approach changes quite a bit. So don't be afraid to like, you know, switch it up and try something that you've never done before. Switch your camera or your format, or black and white to color, or vice versa. Just you don't have to roll with exactly what you've done before, and sometimes that could potentially be holding you back. And the third thing, this kind of ties into those other two, but that is just like, for every project, there's this period of time at the start that absolutely needs like experimentation and curiosity, and that's where you have to give yourself time. And you know, I think it's important to just go out and be okay with making images that aren't going to be for anything. You know, maybe they're just altogether bad, or maybe they don't fit. Like, you gotta dabble and try things to like discover these little hints that point you in the direction that that you need to go. And again, you know, probably the first 6 months of creating here, those images are going nowhere. I'm not doing anything with them. They were just, you know, playing around, visiting places, making photos. Same thing with my American West work. You know, there was like a 4-month period before that where there's this major shift in direction and switching to film and just, you know, experimenting with different styles. So I think that's how everything is born. And if you just like lock into this process and force yourself into something, I think you'll miss out on a lot of potential opportunity to create, you know, some of your best work. So those are the three. Those are the three important things that I've kind of relearned, and that I want to just like, you know, always keep as a reminder to myself, because I think they can help out a lot, especially at the start of something when you're searching for where to go next. Anyways, hope you connect with one of those. I'm going to stop talking. It's 4:30. Got to make a decision here so we can make, hopefully, one more image before the day is over.
So I figured I couldn't leave without shooting the church, so I went for it. Ended up making one image. And you know what? It could have potential if the weather was right and there was some sort of drama, but not working tonight.
Feels like an image you would see on like a stock photo website. Maybe I'll put mine on there. All right, I think it's time to make a mad dash. Okay, back to good old faithful here. The light is actually really nice and soft, not super dramatic, but it does transform this scene. So I think I'm probably just gonna end my evening here. I like this composition, so I just have this like wall of what used to be like looks like a building right in the center of the frame. The two telephone poles or power poles, and then that building there. Simple, but I like it. Okay, here we go.
So like I said earlier, if I can walk away from a road trip with one image I'm really happy with, I consider that a success. But it's equally as important to just enjoy the entire process. The good images, the bad ones, the ups, the downs. It all matters, and this trip definitely had a little bit of it all.
Okay, I think that is, that's a wrap. What a crazy 2 days. Yesterday was a little wild, a lot of miles, zero photography, and today went really well. pretty happy. I mean, I got to see the images, but pretty happy with what I shot today. And it's just like a good reminder for me, for sure, that sometimes things just don't work out and you got to get back out there. Because I'll tell you what, motivation levels were low at the start of this morning. Yeah, it's good to just get back out there because today went really well. So anyways, what a cool place. I will definitely be back to Dartmoor. This place is incredible. But right now, I need to figure out if I'm driving home or if I'm going to sleep in my car tonight and have a little camp dinner. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you for tuning in, as always. I'll talk to you soon.